St. Philip West. Let me hear ya. I bring greetings from Christchurch East Central, and to let you in St. Philip West know, we are neighbors, and I have just come from Ridge Meadows, and I'm happy to report that all is well on your border. And as we continue these next 9 days, St. Philip West, and for those who may be still unsure, this Barbados Labour Party has been faithful to the people of Barbados these last 7.5 years. And I am happy tonight to come here to speak on behalf of not just a parliamentary colleague, but someone in whom I've come to call a friend, because she's hardworking, I suppose, like me. She's honest, humble, and therefore suited to ensuring that the interests of the people of St. Philip West will be better served. And I know that these last 4 years have been extraordinary, because coming after the backs of COVID, we thought that we were going to bring the plane home, so to speak, and to set up ourselves for transformation. But we were set back by issues that really and truly very little else could have been done, given that we had just experienced COVID. But your Barbados Labour Party government, and certainly your representative, Kay McConney, has been critical to ensuring that we can continue the work on behalf of not just the people of St. Philip West, but the people of Barbados. So I'm here tonight to ask the good people of St. Philip West, you gave Kay McConney your vote in 2022. And I want St. Philip West to give Kay McConney their vote on February 11th, because this Barbados Labour Party, supported by Kay McConney here in St. Philip West, we have work left to be done, and we want your permission, St. Philip West, to continue the work on behalf of you in this constituency, to ensure that we can continue to move Barbados forward in a cohesive manner. Our reality is that we are small, yes. We are vulnerable, yes. But we now must ensure that Barbados becomes resilient, which means we must do things differently. And whilst we cannot put our heads in the sand and ignore what is happening in the rest of the world, we must be real. When big countries decide to impose tariffs, it has a direct impact on every person's life in this country, because most of the trade that we do comes through the port of Miami. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we have had to confront and face the fact that the cost of living in this country has increased, of course, but it has nothing to do with the government of Barbados, because our tax policy, our social policy, you heard the Prime Minister speak to how we were able to increase not just the welfare grants, we increased the reverse tax credit when we came back into office in 2018. We increased pensions for persons receiving the non-contributory pension at the very start of this program, to ensure that the most vulnerable among us will be protected. We introduced a minimum wage After, and let me be clear, because when we talk about cost of living, we must break these things down for people. Some people would like us to forget that the Barbados Labour Party introduced the minimum wage order in December of 2004. The $6.25, 25 cents, sorry. And the government changed in 2008. And that minimum wage stayed at $6.25 for the entire 10 years of the Democratic Labour Party. Want to remember that? And we remember that every year the Democratic Labour Party came to Parliament and increased taxes on every single Barbadian every year. They weren't concerned about the cost of living then, but they would want you to believe that under Barbados Labour Party government, where we have increased pensions, we've increased benefits, we have lowered taxes in this country, we have shielded households in this country from their utility bills by reducing the VAT on the first 250 kilowatt hours on every single bill for every Barbadian in this country for the last 4 years. And we've done so because we wanted to ensure that people are shielded. But for the whole 10 years, they never adjusted the minimum wage for the people at the bottom. But under Barbados Labour Party government, we moved the minimum wage from $6.25 first to $8.50, then to $10.50, and last year in the budget when they announced that we'll do the 2% every year, the minimum wage is now $10.71. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you do the simple mathematics, the Democratic Labour Party could not find it within themselves to give Bajans at the bottom not a right cent for the 10 years that they were in office. And now walking about Barbados trying to claim as if they have any right to talk about cost of living in this country. So, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, the government, through direct policy focus on how we're going to help improve the lives of Barbadians, have been consistently shielding Barbadians from the worst impact of the cost of living, which is driven externally by factors that we cannot control. But yet, we have found a way to ensure that we can shield people. The Democratic Labour Party never, in the 10 years, look out for anybody earning at the bottom. But we've set things in motion to ensure that, yes, we would like the economy to grow, and it's growing, so that we can provide a little more ease and breathing space for families in this country. And therefore, when people say that they ain't sure whether they're going to vote, they ain't sure. I find that interesting because by any measure, Barbados has gone through the worst 7 years. In the last 7 years, with all the challenges that we've had. But in spite of that, because of strong leadership, because of competent members of parliament elected right across the length and breadth of Barbados, we have been able to turn around this Barbados economy. We've been able to give people a better chance to cope with what is happening in the rest of the world. And so we've come here tonight to ask St. Philip West for your permission to allow Kay McConney to continue to work on your behalf and on behalf of the rest of the people of Barbados, because the Barbados Labour Party is the only choice to lead this country at this time. And make no mistake about it, them rest ain't ready. They ain't ready. And so when you assess our record, it is second to none. But we don't say so lightly because we prepared, ladies and gentlemen, we prepared. And when things came our way, as the challenges came, you didn't see anybody freeze. You didn't see anybody with doubt. You simply paused, assessed, recalibrated, changed things as you needed to change, but our eyes were squarely on the mission, which was to ensure that we can have this economy recover and ensure that people were at the center of our response. And I know that, Kay, first, as the Minister for Innovation and Smart Technology, in trying to improve how the government delivers services to the people of Barbados, and then as Minister of Education, because the importance of having a good, solid education is important. Because as I was here earlier tonight in Ridge Meadows, and I made the very clear point. My mother could not afford for me to pay to go to university, as most families across the country. And therefore, it is important that we continue to invest in our young people. And therefore, when the Barbados Labour Party, in coming back to office, determined that that was a specific policy that we had to prioritize, because the future of Barbados relies on us ensuring that our young people are prepared. You cannot expect Barbados to thrive if our citizens are not prepared to face the challenges of the world. But the Democratic Labour Party inflicted severe damage on this country, which, let me remind you, especially those who may be undecided, that the person who is seeking or the person who is running against care was part of the decision making of that, caused Barbados long-term harm from which we have not yet fully recovered. But this government, having established a ministry for training and tertiary education, we have decided that we will prioritize the retraining of every single Barbadian, because Barbadians now must adopt not just education mindset, we must adopt a mindset of continuous learning, because the world will continue to change. And as the world continues to change, as technologies continue to be unfolded, we must be prepared to be able not just to go with the flow, we have to be able to anticipate what is happening, what is about to happen, and put Barbados in the best position to respond. And so we take this very seriously. And so when it comes to matters of cost of living, we have been targeted. Because there's some on the other side who ain't see the inside of the supermarket, I am sure, in their lifetime. And they don't know that the majority of food items in this country, as we have agreed with respect to the basket of goods, do not attract VAT. So they will have you believe that by lowering VAT, that somehow those items in the supermarket that don't currently have VAT, that somehow they will go down if they reduce the VAT. It doesn't make sense. And therefore, we have adopted a strategy that allows us to ensure that people will have a little more money when the month comes, that is manageable, that is sustainable, to be able to allow you to decide what you're going to spend the money on, rather than hoping and praying that the business community don't allow it to go straight to their bottom line, which means take the profit. This government cares. Mia cares. And therefore, we trust you, the people of St. Philip West. We trust you, the people of Barbados, to make the choices with respect to how you will spend that money. Unlike the other side, that every time they went to Parliament, they were coming in your pockets to take more money out of your pockets was this Barbados Labour Party from the very first day that we took office. We have been consistently putting money back in the pockets of the people of Barbados, and we will continue to do so because we have been responsible with respect to the management of the public finances, but more importantly, in ensuring that growth returns to this economy. St. Philip West, St. Philip West, I want you to ensure that you talk to every manjack and let them know that the leader of the Democratic Labour Party allowed to leave from his lips the words that if you're hungry, I can starve you. I grew up with my grandmother, as many of you did. And my grandmother would be appalled, as many grandmothers in this country would be. Because if you ask somebody if they're hungry, you either reach in your pocket and give them a little something, or break the cheese cutter or whatever it is that you got and give them peace. That is the Barbados that I know. So for those who claim to be undecided, I want you to understand that the Democratic Labour Party has no interest in your well-being. Because up until this point in time, I have not heard a single candidate from the Democratic Labour Party put any distance between that which came from their leader's mouth and them. And therefore, silence, ladies and gentlemen, is consent. They're planning to starve you. Make no mistake about it. They have no interest in the well-being of Barbadians. And therefore, I'm asking you, St. Philip West, to repose your confidence again in Kay McConney, because Kay has been critical to allowing us to be able to deliver. And this government, working with our stakeholders both internally as well as externally, our mission is simple: growing the Barbados economy, allowing people to benefit from that growth directly, to be able to have ordinary Barbadians invest in the future of Barbados. And therefore, you heard the Prime Minister speak about the Republic Child Welfare Fund. That is fundamentally important, because in addition to what the government will do, every Bajan, every grandmother, uncle, great aunt, whatever it is, that got a little piece of money could put aside a little piece for that child to allow them to have a proper start when they become an adult. Like many of us here this evening, when we turn 18 or 25, would have loved a similar opportunity. And therefore, we cannot allow the future of this country to be derailed by some bad government in the future. And therefore, this fund is a critical cog of building resilience from bad policy in the future. But more importantly, it gives you, families, our Republic children, options for securing their future. And therefore, whilst we are looking long term, we are also putting the intervention in place to ease the cost of living in this country at the same time by being very focused with our pensioners, being very focused with those who are disabled, being focused with respect to the reverse tax credits and the increase for those who are earning the least in this country. And for those in the middle, as the Prime Minister said, you have to listen out in the next budget. But in order for that to happen, ladies and gentlemen, every person, I want to encourage you to get out and vote for Kay McConney on February 11th. Vote for the Barbados Labour Party on February 11th. Vote for Mayor Amor Motley to be the next Prime Minister of Barbados on February 11th. This is serious. We cannot take anything for granted. And Labour Party family, let me remind you, the boxes open empty. It is our job these next 9 days to ensure that we touch every house in this constituency, that we speak to as many people in this constituency so that you can mobilize on election day to ensure that people can get to and from the polls safely, efficiently, so that you can deliver a mandate for St. Philip West to have Kay McConney become the duly elected member of parliament again for this constituency. And if you do that, you would be helping to secure the future of Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, our task is straightforward. Do not let any sense of complacency set in. We must run through the tape like Usain Bolt used to run through the tape, not laughing and looking around. When it came to the final, Usain Bolt was serious. These next 9 days must be our finals. We must take them seriously, we must prepare. And therefore, Barbados Labour Party, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I want all of you, and you hear my voice here in St. Patrick's, to know that Kay McConney has the full support of the Barbados Labour Party. Kay McConney has the full support of us in Christchurch East Central. Kay McConney has the full support of you here in St. Patrick's. And therefore, I want you to go across the rest of this constituency, mobilize the people, and let us work hard, let us work smart, and let us mobilize on election day to ensure that Kay McConney, the candidates of the Barbados Labour Party, encourage all of your families, all of your friends to vote for the candidate for the Barbados Labour Party in their constituency, and let us ensure that on the night on February 11th, that Kay McConney is the duly elected member of parliament for St. Philip West, and that Mayor Amor Motley becomes the next Prime Minister of Barbados. St. Philip West, God bless you, and good night.